Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks, and welcome to our monthly Twitch stream series called Chocolatey Explained. I'm your host, Adil Lagari, and it really is evening for me because I'm coming to you all the way from Lahore, Pakistan. I'm on vacation, but got to join the stream and meet with the community and you folks and engage. I am a senior solutions engineer here at Chocolatey Software, and in this series, Chocolatey Explained, we introduce you to new features, dive deep into internals, and otherwise answer questions and engage with our users and community. So I'm so happy you folks could join us today. Now I'm very excited because today's episode focuses on a feature that's been long awaited and much demanded by our Chocolatey for Business C4B users. And I'm sure some of you folks on the stream now are here for just that. And that's V3 or version 3 of the Chocolatey licensed extension, which brings it with it that very popular Intune integration functionality. Now, I can't really do justice to this feature by myself. So I'm joined by two amazing chocolatiers. The first one is Paul Brodwick. He's our head honcho of dev. He's our engineering manager. He'll be hopping on in a second. I'll pass over to him. And he's been leading the efforts, of course, with a lot of our engineering stuff. And also joining him is Corey Knox. And Corey is a software engineer with Chocolatey and is the lead or has been the lead of the our Intune integration piece, the Choco Convert and Choco Push for the Chocolatey license extension for almost the past year now, Corey? So I'll hand over to both these folks in a second, these fine folks. But quickly before we get into that, I just want to run through the agenda real quick, if we can. So just so you know what you're getting yourself into, Corey, if you could go to the next slide, please. And just a little bit of a breakdown of what we're going to be talking to you about today. We'll have time for Q&A, and don't worry. So specifically, we'll talk about the Chocolatey licensed version 3 extension and the major features. Paul will introduce those to you, and he'll also talk you through a little bit of the dev timeline because it has been a big engineering workflow and undertaking on our end, and sort of all the pieces coming together and why it's taken the time that it has. In addition to that, he'll touch on the Intune integration pieces, of course, and the license commandlets as well. And then he'll pass over to Corey, who will do a demo of this stuff running live. And we'll then have a Q&A and some links and some information for you there. And we may actually be telling you about this when this is coming out. So it's very exciting because we have not been able to give a date as of yet, but this could be the stream where we do it. So please stay tuned for that. But without further ado, the two great folks themselves, I will hand over to Paul Brodwick. Paul.
Thanks, Adil. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just now. Just bring up some of the slides. There we go. So we're going to be looking at the major features. So we're going to look at the Intune integration part of it, and we're going to really look at a high-level overview of that. And the Intune integration really is around converting Chocolatey packages to Chocolatey Intune packages. I'm not going to read everything that's on the screen, but what it's really there for is to allow customers who have Chocolatey packages, have an existing internal repository, who have experience and knowledge of Chocolatey packages, how they work and how they operate within their organization, to be able to use Intune to deploy those Chocolatey packages onto their end machines. So the way we do that is we convert those Chocolatey packages to Chocolatey Intune packages. And obviously, once you've created those Chocolatey packages, they're not much use if they're just sitting on your machine. So obviously pushing those Chocolatey Intune packages to Intune as well in order to be able to deploy them to your end nodes. There's also another feature that we're releasing as part of Chocolatey Licensed V3, and that's internalization with the licensed Chocolatey helper commandlets. And that's lots of words there and a bit of a mouthful. We'll talk more about it in upcoming slides. But what that's really around is internalized packages that let's say you have a package that you're internalizing from Chocolatey community repository. Chrome is always the one I kind of use. Everybody knows what Chrome is. If you're internalizing that down to use it inside your organization to push up into your internal repository, they will now use the licensed Chocolatey helper commandlets. And we'll come on to what that actually means in further slides. But in essence, it means all nodes must be licensed to work with these packages going forward. So as Adil kind of alluded to, it's been a long time coming, this Chocolatey licensed v3 extension, Chocolatey licensed extension version 3, sorry. We first started working on it. It feels like a long, long time ago now, and possibly in a galaxy far, far away. But our first alpha version, the releases are what people want to know about. And the first alpha version we released on the 14th of July this year. And that was a private release to selected customers. So customers who had kind of shown an interest in using Chocolatey and Intune together, we got a few of them together and we gave them the alpha version to try out. And then in August, after we got some feedback, we had a beta, the very first beta version we'd released. We released that on the 2nd of August. 14th of September, another beta version. So as you can see there, just these are the releases we did to private customers. As I said, those kind of customers that come to us and shown an interest, we had let them get a sort of preview version and to help us understand their use case for using Chocolatey with Intune as well. So once we got to that stage, we'd said, okay, we have a product now, or we have a feature in the product just now that we want to open up to a wider audience. We want to open up not just to our customers, but a wider base of customers, and let them be able to try that out and give us more feedback. We were kind of comfortable with it at that point. So in October, we released a first public beta version, and then down to November there, the second one. And finally, as you can see there, the date is the 8th of December. So that's the final stable version will be released. Chocolatey licensed extension version 3 will be released, and that is next Wednesday. We'll be releasing that. So there's a few more ducks to line up, if you like. We've got all of our documentation together, but we just want to make sure everything is as good as we can, as good as it can be before we actually release it to everybody. So that's when it will be available to you. So as I kind of alluded to in the first slide, it's to allow customers to use Chocolatey and Chocolatey packages through Intune. Now, it might seem fairly easy when I describe it. It's just like customers use Chocolatey and Chocolatey packages through Intune. But this has been a kind of long-term customer requested feature. We've had a lot of customers come to us with this, and even potential customers who's come along, and taken trials and wanted to talk to us about Intune and what they're actually doing. So this actual whole feature to do with Intune integration is being driven entirely by customers. This isn't something that we said, hey, let's just do this thing. This is customers that have come to us and said, we want to use Chocolatey. It's fantastic. It does what it does really well. But you know what? We actually want to use it through Intune. And we want to be able to deploy Chocolatey packages onto our nodes. And we want to make sure that we can still use Chocolatey, but also use the features of Intune. So using the best features of both. I like to kind of talk about Chocolatey making Intune a little bit better. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of Chocolatey on Intune. There's all sorts of things you can say, but the point is that this has been a customer requested feature, and it's been customer driven from day one to get this to the release that we're going to have on the 8th of December. And we obviously did internal testing. You don't release a product without doing internal testing, but that internal testing and customers have identified the areas that through those different, through the alpha and through the 4 betas that we had released and the final release now, they have identified areas that, we improved upon. So we can only look at it from our point of view. When you're testing a product, you kind of look at it from your single pane of glass. You're looking at that and you're saying, okay, this is how we would expect customers to use it. But anybody who's is involved in software development knows that customers use your products in lots and lots of different ways that you can never imagine. So it's great that we had the alphas and the betas to get them out to customers to tell us how they're actually using it and how they want to use it. And there's been a lot of feedback from customers on kind of things that we've tweaked and changed, and we're actually still getting feedback about it. So there will be, this will evolve. This isn't just stagnant. We haven't just released it. Hey, that's it, guys. This will evolve. And we encourage you, if you want to use the Intune integration and Chocolatey licensed extension version 3, that you give us that feedback and let us know how it's working for you, how it's maybe not working for you, how you want to tweak it, how your your workflow, wants to use Chocolatey with Intune in a slightly different way. All of that is really, really valuable for us. So the actual little bit of the details, Corey's actually going to go into a lot of the nitty gritty in this. As I kind of said, this is a high level overview of Intune integration and the license commandlets we'll come to in a minute. But this is a little bit of a dive into a little bit more technical. But it's not too technical. So hopefully everybody, even though if you've not had the beta or the alphas, or you've heard about this before, you'll be able to kind of know where we're coming from when we talk about these additional things. So the Intune integration is a preview feature. It's a preview feature for reasons that I've talked about just a moment ago, to do with the alpha and the betas. It's a preview feature because we want to make sure that customers understand that this is our first release of that Intune integration, and we want you to use it, and we want you to be comfortable with using it, and we want you to give us that feedback. But we will also want to kind of warn you that this is our first release of this. And we know there will be things that you will want to change. We know that there'll be issues that you'll find that we haven't found and any other customers has found. We know that there'll be feature requests that you'll want to put in there. So we're just kind of sort of waving a flag a little bit and saying, hey, this is a preview feature. And, we're expecting things to change with this in the future, whether that will be we add additional switches there, or we add additional commands, or whatever. This is going to be potentially subject to change based on your feedback as customers. So you have to enable it with any preview features that we add to Chocolatey. And we have added preview features in the past. We've put them behind a feature flag, we call it. So to enable that, and that's in our documentation, you just run Choco feature enable, and the name is allow preview features. You can see the command there in the very first one, and that will switch on those Intune integration commands. And if you don't switch that on and you go and just run some of the commands you're going to come to in the next slide, you'll see an error. For example, if you're running the convert command, Chocolatey doesn't know about the convert command until you turn on the allow preview features. So it's just kind of, because you might forget, you might be too excited to go in there and try these features, and you find out that the command's not working. Panic stations. It's probably because you haven't allowed preview features. So the next switch we've actually added, and we added the command as well, was the convert command. Again, we'll come to the commands in a minute, and I'll show you a kind of very, very simple workflow for how to convert and push a package to Intune. But there's a new switch to the convert command, and that's the --2 format switch. And what that tells us for the Intune is that it will be --2 format equals Intune, and that's saying convert this Chocolatey package to a Chocolatey Intune package, okay? Because the format we're using is Intune. So that's the really important part to understand about the convert command. But that provides that ability to convert. Convert. The command is convert. You would imagine it's converting a Chocolatey package, a Chocolatey Intune package. So that's kind of one of the fundamental ones there. Now, what that also does when it converts that Chocolatey package is it adds a dependency on Chocolatey.extension. Okay, so Chocolatey.extension is required, and in turn, you also need a license, because Chocolatey.extension is a commercial feature of Chocolatey, a commercial extension of Chocolatey. You need a license for that. So, that's kind of implicit in having and using that. So it requires Chocolatey.extension, and that Chocolatey.extension is also dependent on the Chocolatey package and the Chocolatey-license package. The Chocolatey-license package will be created automatically if it's not there. And that will be created using the license from the workstation that you run the command on. So they are really required. Again, Corey might maybe touch on these when he does more of a deep dive on this, but they're required, and all that stuff is done for you as part of that conversion process. It requires those packages to be in Intune, so you would push them up first of all. And also during the conversion process, it also requires the Intune WinAppUtil and the AZ copy package to be present as well. But if they're not, they will be downloaded and installed as they're needed. So just moving on now to the Intune integration workflow. So as you can see here, we've got the 4 commands that you would kind of run as part of your workflow to convert a package, a Chocolatey package, to a Chocolatey Intune package, and then upload it to Intune. Now, as I've put at the very first, not command, the comment there is only needed once. This first one, the Choco feature enable, allow preview features. Just to jump back a slide, that was the very first point I made in the previous slide. So you only need to do that once, okay? You don't need to do it every time. So very first time you do it, that's fine. It's enabled, that feature. That feature stays enabled. Then the next process that you would do is you would actually download and internalize whichever package it is that you want to push to Intune. So here we're using an example of 1Password. Okay, so it's Choco download 1Password. That will download it, but we also have that -- internalize switch. And what that says is internalize that package and allow me to push all of the package, all of the resources. That will take the binary, the 1Password binary, and put that inside the package. And also rewrite the Chocolatey community repository package a little bit, because that's where you're downloading from in this command. And it will use those licensed commandlets that I'll talk about in a couple of slides' time. So once you've got that down onto your machine, you then want to convert that internalized Chocolatey package, 1Password in this case, to a Chocolatey Intune package. Okay, so we're running that command Choco convert 1Password with the version number. I've used 1.0.0 here, but whatever version number that is, and then just convert that to the Intune format, and that will create an Intune win package. It will be 1Password.1.0.0.Intune win, as you can see in the final step. And that will create that for you. And then finally, you want to push that package up into Intune, because that's where you're going to deploy it from. So Choco push 1Password.1.0.0.Intune win, and there it is. It's up in Intune for you to deploy to your nodes. It is as simple as that. So the first step we'll kind of take out just now, because as I said, you only need to run that once. So you've really got 3 steps in order to download and internalize, convert your package to a Chocolatey Intune package, and then push that package up to Intune itself. Really straightforward. And the great thing about Chocolatey, and the great thing that's continuing about these 3 commands, is this can be done in a CI/CD pipeline. You can do this in maybe Jenkins if you've got that internally, or some other software that you're using. So Chocolatey continues to be a first-class citizen, if you like, in the CI/CD pipeline world, even though we're pushing things to Intune. So that's the Intune integration, the very high, as I said, very high level Intune integration. And as I said previously, Corey is actually going to look at that, a kind of deeper dive shortly. But I want to talk about the licensed commandlets. So if you remember back to the first slide that I went through, we had 2 major features for the Chocolatey licensed version 3 release. And the first one was the Intune integration, which we just talked about. And the second one was licensed commandlets. Now, what does licensed commandlets really mean? We'll come to, and I think it's the next slide or the slide after that, we'll talk about the timeline of how many notices we've made about the licensed commandlets change. So this isn't something that I'm hoping as a customer that you've suddenly just heard about, because we have talked about it quite a lot and for quite some time, because we realize that this change will impact customers. And we want to make sure that everybody is warned kind of ahead of time of the changes that you potentially might have to make. Now, we when talking to customers, we find that it's actually not going to impact that many customers. Most customers license all of their nodes, so this is probably not going to affect as many customers as you might think it would. But we want to be transparent. We want to be give organizations, customers, the greatest amount of time that we can to prepare for this. So why are we going to licensed commandlets? Well, I put there a bit like time zones, and personally, Chocolatey is a team that works across many different time zones, and as the engineer manager, I manage a team of engineers, software engineers and operations engineers across very disparate time zones. So I personally find time zones incredibly hard. I keep forgetting about them. Okay, so maybe you don't find them hard, I do. So I think like time zones, licensing is hard. Now I remember, I've had a long career in IT. I remember trying to license Windows servers. I remember trying to talk about SQL licensing. And I don't want to pick on Microsoft here. It's just that I've worked in the Windows space. Licensing is really hard. Okay, no matter how we try to make it simple, it can be really hard. So what we want to do is part of this is reduce that confusion on what you have to license and what you don't. What we want to say is, if you're a customer, you need to license all your nodes. That's really simple to say. You need to license all your nodes, rather than, well, maybe this and not that. That's very confusing. It's very difficult to write that down. So just reducing that confusion, you need to license all of the nodes that you're using license features on. It's that simple. Okay. But we also recognize, after speaking to customers about this, as I said, this is not something we've done in isolation. When we spoke to customers about this, unlicensed nodes can actually lead to costly mishaps. I've put it there. In the UK, which is where I'm based just now, I'm based in Scotland, and we have two organisations called FAST, which is the Federation Against Software Theft, and FACT, the Federation Against Copyright Theft. But there's other agencies as well, but those are the two that in my career I've had to deal with. And most of the time, customers, and certainly when I've worked at different customers, it's people don't avoid licensing their software. You might think people are trying to get away with it when you think about it, but it's not actually the case. Because licensing is so difficult, a lot of the times people don't realize what they actually have. They don't realize what's licensed software they have out there and what licenses they actually have to cover that. And there's usually a gap. So, the vast majority of times it's because people are just, organizations are just not aware of what they have out there and what they have that they've paid for. So it can lead to costly mishaps in that these organisations can come in. FAST, in fact, as I said, in the UK, can come in and fine organisations, companies, our customers, because they don't have the number of licenses that they have licensed software deployed. Okay, and as I've said, that tends to be because people are just not aware and they find it hard. So again, that really reducing that confusion just makes it really easy. If you've got 1,000 machines and you have 500 licenses, that's maybe where you're thinking, well, I've got 500 there that I don't need, that I have to license. That confusion is gone. There's no real do I have. If you use license features on them, you have to license them. So it reduces all of that. But there's a simple way to do it. When customers, again, when we spoke to customers, the first question is, well, how are we supposed to license all these other nodes? Maybe got 500 or 1,000 or whatever it happens to be. Create a Chocolatey license package and just deploy it. Chocolatey is a package manager. So create a package with your license in it and deploy it to your machines. As simple as that. And then your machines are all licensed. So it's a really straightforward way of doing it. We're not giving you any additional burden by saying, oh, you must license all these nodes. There's an easy way round about it. Create a Chocolatey license package and deploy it. But it's important to know, when we've talked about the reasons behind it, it's important to know what the changes are going to be. And these next these next 2 points really just sum it up. And packages created with Package Builder or Package Internalizer will use licensed commandlets. So on the previous slides, when we talked about the Intune integration, we've said that there was 1Password as the example we used. We were going to download and internalize that 1Password package with Chocolatey licensed extension version 3 that will use licensed commandlets. Those licensed commandlets, as we'll talk about in the next slide, require a licensed version of Chocolatey to work. Simple as that. And that's just reiterated on the next point. Your new licensed commandlets will only work with Chocolatey licensed extension v3 and later. So if you have to make sure that Chocolatey licensed version 3 is deployed onto your nodes in order to use those licensed commandlets. And again, you would just deploy that like you would deploy any other Chocolatey licensed extension release or any other package. The Chocolatey license package I've talked about, a couple of points above there. You would just deploy it onto your machines. Simple as that. But just to kind of really sum up, you must license all the nodes. All your nodes that are using license features, you have to license. And that's, as I said, that's really straightforward. And hopefully that reduces a lot of that confusion. So the internalization we talked about, as I said, that one password package that we talked about a couple of slides ago to do with Intune. When you're internalizing a package, so you're taking that package down from the Chocolatey community repository, okay, to, again, we'll use that one password, or we could use Chrome, whatever package it is that's coming down. Chocolatey will actually look at the commandlets that are used inside the Chocolatey install PS1 file and any other files that are inside that as well. So you maybe are .source in another file that's in there. It'll look at all those files and it will replace all the open source commandlets with the licensed versions of them. Okay, and those licensed commandlets will ensure that the node it's running on is licensed. The Chocolatey open source itself doesn't know about these commandlets, these licensed commandlets. So if you try and install that package with the Chocolatey open source version, it'll fail to install the package because it'll say, I don't know what this commandlet is. I have no idea what you want me to do. So that again, that's fairly straightforward. You need to, in order to use these licensed commandlets, you have to have your node that's running the package install to be licensed. And if it's an open source version, it won't install that package for you because it doesn't know about it. But one of the things that we have quite a lot is that, customers who are using a Chocolatey licensed extension are uploading packages to the Chocolatey community repository, so which is fantastic. So you as an organization are saying, we've created this package internally, but we want to give it back to the community because they would benefit from that, and that is fantastic. But using the Chocolatey community repository with a package that's been created with licensed commandlets is going to cause issues because the vast majority of people using the community repository, because it is a community repository, you're expecting people to have the Chocolatey open source version. So they won't be able to install those packages, as I've said, because they've got licensed commandlets in there. So we've built a rule into Package Validator. If any of you know about the process that a package goes through in the Chocolatey community repository, the Package Validator is actually the first step that packages go through after you've pushed it up. And we've put a rule in there to detect those licensed commandlets and kind of push it back to the maintainer to say, hey, you've created this package. Thanks for sharing it with the community. But unfortunately, it's got a licensed commandlet in there. And, people running open source will not be able to install it. And, they tend to be the people using the community repository. So as I said, kind of when I started talking about this, is that we've talked to a lot of customers. We've, did a lot of work around announcing this release because we realized that it may affect some customers. From what we've talked about, we don't think it's going to affect as many as you might think, but we still want to be transparent. We still want to tell people. We don't want customers to be surprised suddenly that they're running packages they've created with Package Builder onto open source Chocolatey and that not working. So we want to be able to make sure that they're aware of these changes. So we actually created a blog post on the 9th of September this year. And there's the URL that you can go to. You can see that. Or you can just go to blog.chocolatey.org and have a look at the blog post. You can see it in the list there from the 9th of September. We also did a beta release on the 6th of November. And as part of that beta release, there was an email that went along with it, talking about all of the changes that we've talked about today and pointing people to that blog post, which gets into a bit more detail on what's actually going to change. And we released another licensed extension beta on the 11th of November. And we did exactly the same thing again to tell people that, these changes are coming. Here's the blog post. We want you to be aware. And finally, what we did is we actually sent a customer advisory on the 19th of November. So that just purely went to customers, specific customers that have licensed versions of Chocolatey. And we sent that on the 19th of November, just again, letting people know that these changes are coming. And we don't want people to be, surprised by them. So that's all I've got to say on all of that. So that's a high-level overview of the Intune integration feature and the licensed commandlet feature of Chocolatey License Extension v3. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to hand over to Corey Knox, and he's going to go into a little bit more of a deep dive on how the Intune integration is actually going to work for you. There you go, Corey. I've stopped sharing my screen.
Thank you, Paul. I will share my screen and hopefully share the right one this time. Sound. And now if we Okay. I tried this out like just while you were presenting, and I was getting the spinning beach ball. So I was a little worried, but it looks like everything's working. So just to gonna demo Intune integration. To set it up, this is I'm working with an Intune tenant that does not currently have any applications, and I have only downloaded Chocolatey and the Chocolatey extension package.
Real quick, Corey, just everything's looking really small on the screen for me. I'm not sure if it is for folks too, but just if there's any way that we could increase Zoom,
I'm not sure if I can increase the Windows one here, but I've got this one. How's that for Zoom?
Yeah.
And then
you can do this through an LS to show people what you have there. There you go. Thank you.
Why is it not zooming? Is that okay for Zoom?
Yeah, your prompt is fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I've downloaded Chocolatey and the Chocolatey extension, and because we'll need those to upload, and I've already enabled the feature commands, so I can Choco convert, as well as set the there's the API key and the default Intune tenant that needs to be set. And I set those earlier because those have secrets in them, so I obviously don't want to show them on screen. But if I just run Choco API key, you can see that I've got one for my dev Intune tenant, and so I'm going to download Choco download. We use westterm install. Because it's a relatively small package. So that will download this, and then we do Choco convert and westterm, and then to format. Oops, if I could type, was Intune, and I've already have the Intune WinApp util and the AZ copy, so it didn't have to install that. And we can see that it's converted, and if I do an ls, we see that we've created the Intune win file, the Intune win file for the westterm install, and it did because it looked at the dependencies and saw a Chocolatey extension and Chocolatey, or it knew that they would be dependencies. Because I had those, it also converted those into Intune wins. And then the next command we do is just a Choco push, and we give it the name of our Intune win file. And again, before I do this, I'm just going to go make sure that there are no applications in Intune. And so now when we do a Choco push of that Intune win, it will go and authenticate to Intune. It checks all the dependencies on that, and to see which ones we have. So it sees that Chocolatey is not there, so it's going to look and see if we have a package to push up.
The demo gods again.
Yeah. Failed to retrieve all. Oh, service unavailable.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta love MEM.
We do have a built-in, like when it encounters errors, it will attempt 3 times. So as you can see from that one that scrolled up too far, that this was try number one of 3, and then it waited 100 milliseconds and tried again. It didn't have any problems the second time, so it carried on.
So what you're telling me is that you've coded around the gaps, which is excellent.
Yes, because during development and testing, we did encounter occasional things where Intune didn't like something, and then you run it again almost immediately, and it had no problem with it.
And it's fine. Yeah. Funny. So Corey, just real quick, for touching on earlier, you did have up there when you created the Intune Win package, it did mention that, hey, I did not find the Chocolatey license package at the time. It gives you a warning, but it looks like it does create that for you there as well.
Yeah. So on the convert, it will look through for all of the packages, and it'll look for Chocolatey packages, the new package files. And any that it doesn't find that are the Chocolatey specific, so Chocolatey license, and Chocolatey.extension, it will warn you about on convert. And then on the push, if it finds that they're not in Intune, if it's Chocolatey or Chocolatey extension, it will just stop at that point. But if it's the license, it will actually generate that file for you.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and we have it warn on the convert, and but not like to give an actual error on the push, for the reason that the push is where those packages are actually needed. And I'll show you right now. So like if we go through here, we can see that they're that those packages are now in there. And if I do a recursive force, and so I just get rid of everything in this folder, and now I do a Choco download wes term, which is the it's a meta package, I think is the term. It depends on the wes term dot download. And so it's going to download, and now I only have those, the wes term and the wes term dot install. And if I do a Choco convert on the first one to this Intune, now you'll see that we have we have an alert for that. When we get to the end, we'll have an alert for Chocolatey license and Chocolatey.extension. But on the Choco push of wes term, because these Chocolatey and Chocolatey license are already in Intune, we won't. It won't.
Push won't fail.
The push won't fail. Yeah, and it also shouldn't create. And I can check here. Yeah, but it also didn't create a Chocolatey license package for us because it said it's already in Intune.
On that Chocolatey license package, Corey, I kind of said in the slides, and I just wanted to call that out again. If it's not there, it'll actually take the license from the machine that you're running the command for. But I think it's really cool because then you're not going to have to find, oh, where's the license? I'm going to have to. No, I know the license is on the machine. I know where it is, so I'm going to just use that one. I think that's really good. Saves a lot of time.
Yeah, and just to demo the what I was saying about the error. I think maybe not. Okay. Okay. I think I rebooted this without actually doing a vagrant provision, so I don't have access to. I was going to clear out the Intune.
I think if you browse to it once on an Explorer, then it shows up in LS sometimes.
No, in this case, it's I would have to. It's because I didn't. I restarted outside of Vagrant, and so Vagrant didn't set up its shares. But
so we've got the demo gods problem, Corey, and you
and then me.
Good man, we've just got the
Corey problem on top of the demo god.
The good news is I can. So I mean, I'll show it because no, I won't because that's full screen. Actually, I will. So I can go like this. Maybe. Where did it? Oh my goodness. I just ran a script that I have that removes all of the applications from Intune. So now if we go into Intune here, and this was the problem I had before. where I get a beach ball for some reason. Gotta love the demo gods.
Are you just trying to show that
there
your
we go.
Intune tenant is empty? No.
Yeah, well, and just interact with the remote desktop anyways. But so here I've cleared out all the applications, and now if I try to push that WES term again, in this case, it will actually error out because I don't have Chocolatey or a Chocolatey extension.
I gotcha. And so I also have to mention, just a footnote, that Corey is our resident tempter of fate as well. He's also running on bleeding edge Windows 11, right? Just to make it more interesting. Yeah. Thanks, Corey.
I just grabbed the first VM that I had available. So, and so that is kind of the overview of.
So because those packages are not in the local folder that you're pushing, you're in the C demo folder, and they're not in Intune, then that's why it's saying, hey, we need you to either download them and have them in this folder, or we need you to have already pushed them to Intune itself.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So if I do a Choco download, I think that now that I think of it, this isn't actually something that I've tested. It should push the Chocolatey, but then fail on Chocolatey extension, I think. Yeah. And so some of the stuff that once this is pushed up to Intune, I'll use it as a sample. So one of the, when we create that Intune package from the Chocolatey package, we pull all the details out of the Chocolatey package and use them in the Intune package. So we've got the full description complete with all the markdown that came out of the package, and we pull the icon as well, so that when you're using it inside of the
company portal.
I always forget what Intune's calling it today, but the inside of the company portal, then you'll get the logo from that, and then we, in the case of Chocolatey, we have an install script that runs PowerShell, but in the case of everything else, they do Choco upgrade and then the package name, and then in the case of those other ones, they have dependencies as well.
Awesome, Corey. So real quick, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to mention, so just so everybody's following along, just to sort of step back for a second. So these are Chocolatey packages, new package files, right? NuGet package files, and that are actually wrapped in an Intune Win file. So it's actually like Intune Win Win32 apps that are backed by Chocolatey NuGet packages. So it's actually doing Choco upgrade in the background, or Choco uninstall for like install and uninstall commands. And all of that is self-contained in the package itself, right? The Intune Win app, that all dependent, like all the pieces of the actual binaries and all the pieces of that NuGet package are bundled into there. So you're not actually pulling from a repository of sorts. You're actually just pushing the whole app up into company portal.
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool.
So, and that's all I had for demo, unless you wanted me to demo anything else or show anything else.
No, that's great. I think that the only other thing we ever do is, that people fully understand anyways, we don't really need a demo again, is, of course, this is totally built for DevOps and automation, right? Like Chocolatey is, so it's important to mention that you could very much script the creation and internalization and push up of, tens, 20, hundreds of packages at the same time if you wanted to. If you had multiple tenants, even, you could manage multiple tenants in that format by explicitly passing parameters to push. So there's a lot of advanced feature set available there for folks who are into the tweaking. But if you're a Chocolatey for Business customer, of course, you can reach out to us on our support channels, and we'd be happy to walk you through some of that stuff too. Or even better, just have a read through our docs. We've had them updated recently, so it's up there, and a lot of the features are documented pretty well. So that's always your first and best bet initially. Okay, awesome. So now let's wrap up with thank you so much, Paul and Corey, for a lot of this input. And I think I do have to recognize that I know that Paul and Corey are here, but we have a whole team with us here at Chocolatey, and really thanks go out to everyone, because this has been a big lift, and this has been a good almost a year of this project. Like back when like Stevie and myself were playing with some of the skunkworks ideas of this, I still remember like it's really taken, you know, a lot of effort from a lot of folks, especially like crossing finish line. Want to recognize Kim Nordmo. Kim put a lot of work into the Chocolatey license extension as well, and of course, you know, our lead architect Gary, you know, for everything that he does and just being. So there's, and I could go through all the folks, but definitely, you know, everybody's contributed to this for sure. So thanks so much, Choco fam, for all the work that you put into this, because this has been a big lift. But I'm really glad that we're near the finish line here, and just next week, right? It comes out, so exciting. Finally, it'll be in customer hands, and they can just allow those preview features and just start running this right from the licensed feed. So let's talk about this. Let's summarize a little bit. And we can have time for Q&A. If anybody's got stuff you can throw into the chat in Twitch and YouTube, wherever you want. And let's touch on this now. So the ETA for release to C4B customers, I know that Paul's already announced it, spilled the beans on that. So that's great. 8th December, 2021. So it's coming out next week. So very exciting. We're finally getting it out in people's hands. And, you know, feel free to reach out to us and talk to the sales team for trials. And if you want to get this in your hands and start playing with it at that point. Next point is this will not work without prerequisites, and that's something I want to set up. There's a couple of caveats that I want to mention. I know that Paul and Corey have already gone through this with you, but just circling back with this. So of course you got to do that Chocolatey and Chocolatey extension. You got to have those internalized in that local folder, and of course. One thing that we can't really show because of the secrets that are involved in there is, you know, configuring that app in your Intune tenant. You have to have those pieces lined up. That API key value needs to be connected. Otherwise, the Choco push won't know where it needs to push to. So those are the important pieces there. But once you have those in place, you've seen how smoothly it works, and it's really amazing. So, you know, kudos to you guys and the team for the hard work. And so the Intune Win32 app packages as well. This is an important caveat. Those packages, as I mentioned before, they are being pushed up into your Intune tenant, and that includes them being backed by a NuGet package that's built into that Win32 app. So you have to remember that the previous sort of way that you were managing NuGet packages in the Chocolatey ecosystem was very much having your own internal repository, a Sonatype Nexus repo, if you will, or JFrog Artifactory or Cloudsmith repo. So in any of those options, you have a NuGet version 2 repository that you were using, and that was associated in your internal repository also with your Chocolatey central management. So in your Chocolatey for Business ecosystem there, you have the relationship Choco outdated and other things like that. And so the important point here is that this process, it runs in parallel to that. So there's not necessarily a connection between the two. So if you are maintaining both environments, it is something you would have to maintain in parallel if you wanted to. Also important to mention that if you are installing those applications on the endpoints, when you run Choco outdated commands, then that will look towards whatever's in an internal repository, not necessarily what's in company portal. So the idea being that we're trying to make it super simple for you to use apps in Intune. In the native Intune manner, so through company portal. So with that comes the ability to use this easily in company portal and have all the apps self-bundled in there so that you don't have to go other places for it. So it's two different streams, if you will, but very much they exist in parallel. So we have folks who are interested in running both streams and still want to use the Chocolatey commands in the back end and have the command line tools available and maybe use Chocolatey GUI. So definitely as a Chocolatey for Business customer, you can avail any of those different options as well. Okay, and I think that was pretty much it for that piece. Just want to touch on the links here. Going to look in, see if there's any questions in here, but folks generally don't have too much going on here. Looks like still early on Intune usage. I assume there would need to be a script to run to tie it all together with our internal repos. Yes. Well, the script would specifically be for internal repos. Currently, a lot of folks are using scripts in Jenkins to internalize packages and bring them into their internal repo. What you could very much do is you could duplicate a process like that to have also an internalization process pushing and converting Intune Win apps and pushing them into Intune as well. So again, like I mentioned, it would be two parallel streams. They would exist independent of each other. So your company portal updated apps wouldn't necessarily be aware of your internal repository. Okay, so a couple of links we should touch on here. The Intune Integration docs. The folks have done they've done a lot of hard work and the great job of having that docs up ahead of time. So that's available at ch0.co/Intune. That Intune integration page actually has three different sub pages to it that will explain some of the prerequisites you need, how you need to set up the Intune app in your Intune tenant, and then how you actually go about converting and pushing as well. So those the different documents exist there at that link. So feel free to go there. A couple of ways that you can try out Chocolatey for Business, of course. Chocolatey for Business Quick Start Guide, C4B Quick Start Guide is available at ch0.co/QSG. That's one of the popular ways that folks are just setting up a VM, bring your own VM and just run those PowerShell scripts, 6 or so PowerShell scripts to get up and running with Chocolatey for Business. Then we also, of course, have the C4B Azure environment, the QDE Azure environment, which is our Azure Marketplace appliance, if you will. And that's available at ch0.co/Azure QDE. And finally, if you wanted to set this up from scratch in your organization in a more distributed approach, then you could go to ch0.co/org, and that's a series of videos that Gary, our lead architect, has put on to kind of walk you through the different pieces of Chocolatey and how you can distribute, your database server for CCM and other pieces of that, and build everything separately as well. And the last thing I'll mention here is, of course, if you'd like to become a C4B customer and actually try out these Intune features, please reach out to us at sales@chocolatey.io, and we'd be happy to walk you through some of that process. We also have a form, of course, online. You can fill in a little bit of a survey on our page saying you're interested in Chocolatey for Business, and that'll help start that process of getting you some of that information so we can kind of qualify what you're looking for and help you out and maybe hop on a call. Awesome. Okay, well, with that, I really want to thank you all for your time. I know that you take your time out every time to come join us every month, and I really want to appreciate all the folks who do join us. Again, we do this on the first Thursday of every month, so definitely do tune in if you can, and we look forward to getting this feature in your hands next week and seeing how you all sort of play with it, and hopefully it works really well for you. But even if you break it in new and cool ways, we want to hear about it. So please do submit those issues as well, because that's the only way we improve. And like Paul said in the beginning, we really want to appreciate all the folks who came out and actually gave us this feature request, because really this is all driven by you, the folks who actually wanted this and demanded it. So our customers, we love them, and that's why we're here. So thank you all for your great feedback. And also handing over to Paul and Corey to say goodbye as well. Thank you for joining, folks. Have a good week.
Thanks, guys. Please play with Chocolatey License Extension. Let us know how you get on. Please.
Yeah, what they said.
All right, folks. Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next month. Have a good one.